Ooh, this is
All
funnier.
right, here we go.
Ooh, it's so.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killin', green core villains on the mic, got you reelin'. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another baconated episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 467, recorded Sunday, March 17th, 2024. Tonight, we're talking about another Patreon pick. This was chosen by Gabriel. The movie is Hollow Man from 2000. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy, Randeezy. What's up, man?
An invisible man.
How we doing, buddy? It's good to hear from you on this fine, auspicious St. Patrick's Day. I've been given to believe that you've imbibed this evening.
The only thing I've been able to see is green beer all day. That's it.
God, hell yeah, man. Then you are in the spirit of things for sure. More than me. I've done nothing today, so I'm excited to get to talking about this
I've
fucking
done nothing.
movie.
Nothing at all.
Well, I've done nothing fun or nothing like
I'm
nothing
sorry.
festive. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
here we go.
Last but not least, calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy Bacon Hawk Stains. Caw-caw! Power of the Bacon Hawk tonight, boys.
My Hawk's dad.
Yes.
It's
That's the
not.
Oh, I was very
not
not
in
on
this
that
movie.
page.
You're not on
Is
the
this some
Bacon?
Sunny in Philadelphia thing? I don't recall. I don't. What is this?
Might as well be.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon, Ethan Hawke. Are they the
They're the
same
same.
person? Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe
Yep.
not.
Conspiracy theorists say yes.
Sane regular people named Soju say yes.
Yes. Self-reporting people say yes.
They're all computer generated. They're
Yeah.
both fake.
Yeah.
It's fine.
There's fake as all the birds. Anyway.
Keep your eyes on the birds, ladies and gents. Keep your
Randy,
eyes
why
on
do you hate
birds.
the Irish so much? Why do you hate my people?
I think they might be my people too, although I have no evidence of that.
I
Yeah,
think I'm
so I guess
Irish.
I'll chalk it up to self-hatred. Let's just go with that.
All
We're
right.
probably all sort of Irish.
We're probably all just
We have
cousins.
the complexion. I burn in like 3 seconds of exposure to sun, so I think that that's fair reasoning that I might be Irish in some capacity.
Me and Randy definitely on that pale side for sure.
Yeah.
I'm very brown, apparently.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
not.
God.
I'm a white
Such-
boy.
such the brownest guy I've ever seen. That's for sure.
Word.
That's
Word.
what I always say about Bob. You know my
Oh,
boy
it's that
Bob.
brown guy over there.
It's that brown
Oh
guy.
yeah, that
Brown
guy.
Bob.
That
My
strip
boy
of
Brown
leather
Bob.
right there.
That wallet, that old wallet, that's my boy Bob.
That old wallet in the corner. That's my buddy Bob.
A wall
Make you
with
a
two
tiki you won't
legs.
forget.
Just walking around. Oh, shit. All right, before we get into the main event, let's tackle a little bit of housekeeping real quick, ladies and gents. So we got our April poll currently posted on our Patreon website. The theme for April is AI Pro Fools. And the 3 movies you can vote between are Random Option 1, Random Option 2, and Random Option 3.
There you
There
go,
you go.
Bob.
Yeah,
How-
yeah, you
there.
remembered all 3. Congrats.
How those
I'm-
numbers looking?
You know, they're looking pretty great. 11% for movie number 1, 67% for movie number 2, 22% for movie number 3.
Whoa, movie number 3's coming up.
It's creeping up a little bit.
That's so wild still about, yeah, movie number 2. Maybe Hyderberg was right. Maybe that's the only one people can guess and they don't want to take a risk on an unknown.
Yeah, yeah. So we were, if you're listening and you have no idea what we're talking about, we were hacked by the robots. the AI folks chose the movies for this month's poll. We don't know what they are. You don't know what they are.
The
We
AI
got some
folks.
AI folks.
Nobody knows. The
We don't know if
robots
we
have
give them
taken
rights
over.
yet or not. You know,
I am the
folks.
AI folk.
They're real people. Probably. I don't know. Most. We'll see what we're talking about in April.
We're getting really existential. about this.
Yeah, man.
Are they people? Are they not?
We're just so fucked.
Derivative.
We're so fucked. We just are. In other Patreon news, we're dropping mini-casts every other Friday. Last Friday, we dropped the new mini-cast. Randy was talking about a video game called Inscription. Is that cool? Is that fun? Do the kids need to listen, Randy?
Oh yes. Yeah, if you're interested in that game at all, it's an indie game from I actually don't recall when exactly it was released. A couple years ago, not that long ago. But I played it mostly summer of last year, and it's a lot of fun. It's on Switch now, which means that it's probably like 3 years removed from its actual release on any other platform. So I think it's probably available just about everywhere. It's certainly available on Steam. I know that to be true. Yeah, I would recommend it, and if you want to take a listen to that episode, I can tell you a lot more why.
Steam. Cool. We got a new minicast coming out March 29th, which is actually going to be about True Detective Season 4 Night Country. That's the
Whoa.
next spot.
Randy, that was
God.
me and you talking about that. Randy,
I
you're
know.
on fire with these mini casts this year.
I know. I
Randy.
participated this year. I'm gonna get a
Man.
trophy.
You're really getting your life together this year, Randy.
I know. This yeah, it's the year of Randu. And I finally just give up all this bullshit and start buckling down and releasing mini
Recording
episodes for
mini
4 or 5 people who give a shit.
Just working for free. Really coming
I'm
in
ready
clutch.
to I'm ready to bare my soul for no profit. How about you fellas?
We believe in you, Randy. I know
Thanks,
it's
bud.
tough, but you know, we believe in you.
The robots demand it.
Grow up.
They flipped the switch on.
Grow up, bro. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. Drop in Friday, March 29th. Coming soon. In other Patreon news, we do have a brand new Patreon supporter. We owe mad shouts outs to. Big thanks to Melanie E for signing up on Patreon and showing us some love. Every dollar you guys contribute goes right back into the show. And as is tradition around these here parts, we owe you the straight chilling salute. This goes out to Melanie.
Slap me in the ass.
Thanks,
Thank
Melody.
You, thank you.
Melody or Melanie? I couldn't hear you quite.
Melanie.
Melanie.
Thanks, Melanie.
Thanks for the
Ass
slap.
slap, all that stuff. Thank you so much.
Solid slap. Right in the ass. We love it.
Inside of it. Thank you.
Savor it. Just linger on it. Just really drink it in.
Maybe
Just-
we
Yeah,
should move
yeah.
on.
Yeah, Rob. Rob,
No.
keep circling that drain.
No, yeah,
You know,
just
can never
gotta,
get enough
just
post-amble.
really revel in it. Just
Yeah. hmm Hey, Bob, what's next?
appreciate it. What is next? I don't know. Oh yeah, we opened the You Pick the Flick tier this today. Today we did it today.
We did it. It's
All
done.
right, I'm taking over hosting duties.
Okay.
Well, you
Somebody
see,
is
Randy,
in derelict of duty.
Well, you see, Randy, we released the You Pick today, and
Oh wow, did we?
5 lucky patrons get to choose a movie for us to watch in the upcoming quarter. Do you have those names available, Randy? Or does anybody
I can
have
pull
those
them up.
names available?
Bob, do you have them perchance? Can you rattle
Rob.
off a name without
Yes,
Rob
spitting
has
out?
them. Yeah, Rob does.
Can you
So-
see
Okay.
them clearly? Are they like 3 lines?
Oh,
I think I
this
can
is
read.
somebody named
We'll find out.
Ross, and Jeff.
you got your
Rydro
boy-
Bragg.
Congratulations to your boy Hydrabird, Kennephis Prime, Clorox Bleachman, Dongster Sam, and Matt.
And Matt.
And Matt.
At least you ended
Hydrabird,
them-
Dongster,
Yeah.
Sam, Clorox, Bleach.
Dongster
The
Sam.
name.
My man, Matt.
I love Clorox Bleachman. That's great. That's real good.
The names are out of control.
Matt,
but
who's ever heard of such a
congratulations.
thing?
Well, thanks for everyone for supporting us. Hydraberg's
Yeah,
still
we really
undefeated, I assume.
He is undefeated.
Under.
He's,
he's, he's under my feet.
below theater.
Okay. All right. We're
What?
denigrating the new patrons.
He's not new. He's not new.
Wow.
But yeah, congratulations. Just send in your movie choices as soon as you got them, and we'll get you on the docket and talk about those movies ASAP.
Hell yeah.
That's all we got for Patreon news. I do want to say a quick thank you for everybody that joined in for the Joe Bob watch party this past Friday. He showed a bucket of blood and Deathstalker. Roger Corman double feature. The first movie was all right. I fell asleep before the second movie. Maybe it's also all right. I don't know. But it was a solid squad. Thanks to everybody that did show up and hung out with us on Friday. Do you guys have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I was gonna announce one thing. So this came out a few weeks ago technically, but now it's a lot more accessible, and then with a little bit of added content from Nicole. So Nicole and I talked about Passion of the Christ on Creature Comforts, our spinoff show on YouTube, where we cover horror adjacent things, and we were covering it heading into the Easter season, which is at the end of this month. And since she is doing her religion and horror series on her show, she asked if she could also post on her show, because that movie kind of means like a lot to her, and it's very religious. So yeah, so she put it up on her show, and it's available now. So if anyone doesn't have, it's a lot more convenient to listen to if you don't have like YouTube Premium or whatever, because you can just stream it on your podcatcher of choice. But yeah, it's the same discussion with a little bit of added stuff for from Nicole for context and stuff. And yeah, so check that out over at Light and Shadow, Passion of the Christ.
Nice.
All you sinners, come listen
he
to the
talking
good
to?
news.
Passion of the Stains.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Check it out.
So yeah, that's all my.
Cool.
I think my house is clean.
Dead air.
I got one more thing real quick. I do want to give a quick shout outs to Ghoulish University. I was fortunate enough to sit in with Logan and Nate this past Thursday we recorded. And that episode is, we were talking about season 4, episode 5, Beauty Rest. And that's going to be dropping this Friday, the 22nd, March 22nd. So check out
Nice.
Ghoulish University everywhere you get your podcast. If you're into Tales from the Crypt, that's what they talk about each and every week. There you go.
Sweet. I need to watch
Yeah.
that show. Maybe that's my goal this spooky
Hand me watch
season.
one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, such ambition. That's a lot of hours. All right,
It's
well,
like
that sounds like our house is pretty
6
clean.
seasons,
Oh,
7 seasons. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. House is clean.
This house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking Hollow Man, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, I saw you had this sweet box. Is it blue? Is it steel? What is it?
It's blue. You can get this steelbook if you want it, but I just have the lame regular Blu-ray.
Blue. Oh,
I'm
man,
a loser.
Bob. You must be
I'm a-
poor.
God damn!
Man, we just jumped right back into high school, didn't we?
What a piece
Middle
of
school,
shit.
maybe. Why don't you wear your Ralph
Oh.
Lauren, motherfucker?
Blue.
I'm a loser, baby, so
Where's
why
your
don't you
Jinkos?
kill me?
Or
God damn. Anyway, we're talking about Hollow Man.
Love your
From the year-
blinkos, poro.
yeah, nice Folex, loser.
Damn. They're baggy, but they're not that baggy. I can tell they're fake.
You can't
Uh,
smuggle a small child inside of them.
I can't park my truck in your jeans, so they're not real Jinko. We're talking Hollow Man from the year 2000, rated R, runtime of 1 hour and 52 minutes. This was directed by Paul Verhoeven, written by Gary Scott Thomas, Andrew W. Marlowe, stars Kevin Bacon, Elizabeth Shue, Josh Brolin, some other wonderful folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by the back of the box is as follows. From Paul Verhoeven, visionary director of RoboCop and Starship Troopers, comes a tale of transparent terror. Presented here in its original theatrical cut, Hollow Man's Oscar-nominated special effects are as groundbreaking now as they were upon its original release nearly 20 years ago. In Hollow Man, a team of scientists led by ambitious Dr. Sebastian Kane have developed a groundbreaking serum for invisibility. Desperate to take their research to the next level, Kane volunteers himself as a test subject with horrifying results. Featuring adrenaline-pumping suspense and provocative commentary on the nature of power and corruption, Hollow Man is an essential addition to anyone's horror collection. Gentlemen,
Tweak me.
have you seen Hollow Man, and would you recommend folks check it out? Randy, why don't you kick us off?
I had seen this film when I was young. It was on our illicit Cinemax subscription quite frequently.
Ooh.
Whoa.
It was my
Skinemax.
introduction to the concept of the nipple, as I recall, and certainly
Whoa,
the
that's a
concept of
woman's
tweaking.
nipple.
It looks like you're tweaking her nipples through a chain link fence.
It does. So yeah, I don't. This is a Verhoeven film. I'd say that it's like on the lower end of what I've seen from him. I'm less interested in this. But I will say that it was better than I recall it being from being that young. I don't remember that much about it except for a sexual awakening and all. So for me, this is I think it might be worth your look. Certainly if you're into Paul Verhoeven stuff, I think that there's certainly enough meat on this bone to give you a good time for a completionist speed through.
Cool. Juice, what about you?
Yes, I also had seen this when I was younger and also had the same kind of experience as Randy and didn't remember a lot. I haven't seen it in a long time. But it was worse for me than I remember it. I don't know. I was surprised to hear those words come out of Randy's mouth. There was a lot of things that probably just didn't register with me as a kid, or like, I don't know. I just rewatching again, I was pretty surprised about some of the stuff that was in this movie. And yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend, if you want to watch an Invisible Man movie, there's one that's really old and one that's really new, and they're both significantly better than this. So yeah, no,
There's more than that too, but yes.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like,
I see what you're saying.
you've got your options. So no, I wouldn't really recommend people check this out. Bob, how about you? Would you recommend people check this out?
Not really. It's
Yeah.
It'd be a pretty light recommendation, I think. I think so. Interestingly enough, my memory of this movie was like pretty negative, and it was better than I thought it was gonna be on this rewatch. But I still
Same.
like. It's all right, you know. It's.
I didn't necessarily remember it positively, but it wasn't a negative space in my mind.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be a lot of what the second half kind of was, of like running around the labs and stuff. But yeah, I'm surprised to hear you guys say it was better than you thought.
Yeah.
Let's get into why.
We'll get into it. That sounds like
Not a
not
recommend.
Sounds like not much of a recommend. No, I'm
I
the
don't think
strongest, and I'm
so.
like, it's fine.
So
Yeah.
just listen to our ramblings, and you'll be okay.
No. Support.
So,
Support films.
So by the blue. So what you're saying?
Buy the blue in
Buy
3
the steel book
editions.
from Walmart. For
I'm trying to
$30.
stimulate the economy here, Juice. It's
If
a
you're not
single-handed
poor,
job.
get the steel.
We gotta drop the interest rates, Juice, for the love of God. So yeah, we're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie, and here comes the what?
Spoiler warning.
All right. So, boys, this movie's a little problematic, eh?
Nah, I can't imagine why you'd say that.
Tweaking.
It's just a feller.
So I will say, in my mind, I definitely remember the shirt scene where he undoes her shirt and tweaks the nips and stuff like that. I do remember. That's always lived in my mind. It's like, that's what the scene from this movie or whatever, from the sexual
Same.
stuff. But the just straight up rape that happens and then the rape
Yeah, man.
dream. I do
So-
not remember any of that.
They're very upsetting.
So I have a plot synopsis, but I don't really.
Oh,
fucking care
oh my
what it is.
God! I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, like, I just thought we
It's
were launching
fine.
in, but
we are
We really.
off. I'm
This
so
movie
sorry.
is about a dude that turns invisible and just fucking molests and rapes women, and like that's the plot.
Bob, do
period.
your
Yeah.
plot synopsis. I'm sorry. Do your
That's
plot synopsis.
it's
Keeping the beat. Keeping the beat.
What
That's
episode?
what it is.
True, I'm keeping the beat.
This is only episode like 20, right?
467 is
Okay.
the number of this episode.
we
It's
lack in confidence. We excel in drunken hosts. So
true.
I wish.
That's what the movie is. It is problematic. And like that's kind of the biggest problem I have with it, honestly, is like that's what the movie is. Because like it's interesting. So something that's like kind of cool about this movie is you jump in and like they've already cracked like how to turn people invisible. Like they've already figured out how to do that, and they're trying to figure out how to reverse it and make people visible again, like take them out of that. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like an interesting place to like start a movie, and I dig that. But like the Sebastian Kane, who is Bacon in this movie, he just like is kind of a piece of shit from go. Like he is.
absolutely.
He's a total sex pest. Like that's just who he is as a person. And is like as soon as he like gets his cohorts to like get on board with him and lie to the Pentagon and like to where they can like then turn him invisible instead of just like random animals and stuff.
Mhm.
Like the first thing he does the second he turns invisible is just fondle some titties and like rape women. Like that's all he wants to do. Period. That's it.
Which
And,
is-
like
I couldn't breastfeed any of you kids because of that man.
Which is ridiculous because the first time it happens, the invisibility doesn't help you do it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
because they know.
Yeah, if you're
Well,
caught,
I guess it
there's only-
emboldens him.
there's only one invisible man.
There's only-
It's not, and she knows about it.
Was it Carter? No, he's not invisible. Who do I know that's invisible?
Damn, I forgot.
Yeah,
Is it
so
Kevin Bacon?
the only thing, and even if there's cameras in the room, you'd see a breast being popped out of a shirt and being squeezed. Like, I mean,
I don't know if they
there's-
filmed that room, but yeah.
well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I'm just there's nothing about being invisible that helps him in that situation.
No,
Y-
I think it's like okay, well, let's take a step back here because I think that like the whole thing that like I definitely remembered this movie as being somewhat rapey, and it was way worse than I remembered in terms of that stuff. What was better was like, oh, but like the action scenes are kind of competent. The effects, for as dated as they look, are effective enough for the story that they're going
I think
for.
they held
feel
up pretty
good.
well.
I think they held up okay.
Overall, yeah.
And like it's like cool ideas going into the effects. For visual effects from the year 2000 to be this impactful now is pretty fucking great. So it's got some things going for it that I just I don't think about, I don't associate with this movie because of the other big elephant in the room that I never stopped looking at every time I thought of this movie. So
Yeah,
there's that going on. Like that's kind of, I agree. Like that's the biggest downfall of this movie is that it just leans into that. But I also kind of started thinking about this movie having now seen 2020's Invisible Man, or is it 2019? 2020, right?
2020. I think it came out
2020.
early.
Yeah, that's the last movie I
Yes.
saw right before the
Yeah,
pandemic.
I think February
shit down.
2020, something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, like, and I was thinking about that. I was like, this movie kind of has some similar themes. It's just not good at doing them because that movie also has like a repugnant piece of shit in the Invisible Man suit who's just trying to take advantage of women. In his
Yeah.
case, specifically a woman that he has a vendetta against, not even necessarily like just a woman who he like skeeves on from across his fucking apartment like an
Yeah.
asshole. Like this, I don't know. There's something going on with that where I feel like this movie is like teetering on the edge of having a point, but instead it sucks. So I don't know. Like, I don't know what to make of it. Like, I
This
want it to do.
movie-
This is Verhoeven. He knows how to like insert that sort of thing in here, and he just doesn't feel like he nailed it at all.
I agree. This is like the most male gazy kind of version of the Invisible Man you could possibly create. And I feel like the one from 2020 is dealing with like similar concepts, but it completely lacks the male gaze, and it's like from a female perspective entirely.
Yeah.
And it's
And like,
critical.
yeah, it is.
It's
Yeah, and
definably critical of that point of view, which this movie is not.
it's definitely not. This movie has like strong female characters, so it at least has that going for it, but it's still not enough. It's because this whole movie, you were looking at this movie from Kevin Bacon's point of view entirely, and I feel like even at the end of it, like you think he's a piece of shit, but he's still a genius. Like at the end of the day, he's still a
Yeah.
genius in this movie, and it's just it feels like they don't go quite far enough with it. Like they don't redeem the
Yeah.
female
Well, and a lot of the
characters
time,
enough.
he's
They
the
don't
point of view
condemn him enough.
character too.
He
That's
is.
the kind of weird thing. Yeah.
Absolutely,
He
yeah.
talks at camera a few times, like not at camera, but like talks to himself for our
Yeah.
benefit so that we can insert ourselves into his brain, which is partially just a bad way of divulging that kind of information. You could show, not tell, for example. But like, I don't know, man. It just seems like there's nothing critical about the way they look at him. And he does, they're trying to go for this like Tony Stark, Dr. House, like piece of shit with with insane talent that nobody can deny sort of persona that's also kind of badass, but the badass part doesn't work at all. Because of the datedness of it. And that's one of the big ones. Like him going down the road or singing butt rock to himself on his fucking Porsche or whatever.
Dude, the
is
music
hilarious.
he likes is so fucking bad.
It's
It's
very
so
fucking
bad.
bad. But like they just don't like, they don't really like scrutinize that stuff. It just makes like they really only seem to be dealing with the idea of like a power hungry genius who's pushed past his limits by this drive or whatever, which is a good thing to base your Invisible Man movie on. I like, that's my memory of the original, is that like it's like the power plus the insanity that comes with it. That should work. But he like confuses everything by making it this weird psychosexual thing that like just fixates on this thing that he just keeps doing to all the
Well-
women in the room, and he like loses more than like his sanity. He's not that different at the end of the day.
That's the thing.
They
He's
don't
not,
really
yeah.
make
They-
that statement. They're not, this is why we don't like you, or this is why, I left you. I'm Elizabeth Shue. I left you because you act like this. This is your purest form. They didn't do anything to like set that into place. And if they had done that, it would have like rescued a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
all
that's
of
a
it.
problem. There's no decline. Like from the very first scene, he's a piece
Yeah.
of shit. He's a cocky piece of shit. And so the element
Who's
that
capable.
the element that you could play with and that they kind of try to hint at is, oh, is the serum fucking with his mind, or is it making or even, it's like sleep deprivation or something. You
Mhm.
could, because he can't close his eyes, and so he can't sleep. He's just a piece of shit who does the things he wants to do because now he's invisible, which is
Totally.
the things he wants
He-
to do is rape people, which is insane. Like,
He doesn't
that's a-
change at all. Like even
Yeah.
before he's invisible, like he's trying to make out with his ex-girlfriend at the restaurant.
yeah.
And when he's invisible, he's grabbing her like at the crotch and shit. Like he's saying, like, you want a fucking invisible man? You want to know what that's like, babe? Like he's just like an all around piece of shit. And this is
Yes.
before like he's quarantined for like days and days and days and is like going stir crazy and stuff. It's just
Mhm.
he is start to finish a piece of shit, which is like
Yeah, he
kind
has
of-
no real arc.
he doesn't. Yeah,
He
and
doesn't.
it,
He just, it's
it
just
feels
like
like
a
the movie wants you to think there is one. It kind of
Yeah,
feels
it
that
does.
way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Elizabeth Shue is the closest thing we have to like somebody whose arc we could point to as being like, okay, it's about, I don't know, about her like sacrificing her scruples against her better wishes to follow a genius into the fire. And there's something that can be done here. There's all the pieces are in place to make something that says something, but instead they prioritize all these like not even schlock scenes, just like poor taste fucking scenes that ultimately all say the same thing and add nothing to the point of view character that we're provided, and does very little to ingratiate me to this movie. Nobody in this movie like makes me like them very much. I'm okay with like Elizabeth Shue's character or whatever. She like, everybody's doing their job as an actor. Like the character actors in this are doing a good job with what they've got, but like I don't feel like I know any of these people. I don't feel like I can understand where any of them are coming from. Like from the word go, I would not have jeopardized my fucking career to do this thing that I already know we can do by letting this fucking piece of shit that's my ex, who I left for being unreliable and a piece of shit, like run this meeting and tell everybody a blatant lie about it. Like, no,
Also,
I'm
yeah.
not endangering my career for this.
It's also ridiculous to think that the Pentagon would be like, you know what? I just think we're just going to pull your funding, even though they can make people invisible, even though they don't know that they can bring them back yet. It's like, oh, you can literally make people invisible? Nah, I think we're just going to stop
That's not
funding
enough.
that. That's
Cancel.
not
Well, they're going to
good
take the
enough.
research. I think the thing they were saying is they're going to pull funding from him and take the
Yeah.
research back to
somewhere
themselves.
else. Yeah.
Because they gave him autonomy or whatever, which I thought that was cool. Like, I wish they had done a little bit more with like the government's involvement with this. Verhoeven has a sharp political
Yeah.
like point of view.
Totally. Yeah.
Why not lean into that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's part of his thing, and like you can kind of see elements of it in this movie, but he doesn't like fully explore it or fully lean into it in a way that would be satisfying.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're kind of jumping on this movie a little bit, but I will say like
Yeah.
Linda's character in this movie is a very capable, like strong female character who at the end of the movie does save herself and Matt, her new boyfriend. Like she
Thanos.
saves him too. So like yeah, she creates like an electromagnet and like opens the freezer door from the inside and like she's no dummy. So like there is something working here with the female characters and stuff. It's not just like this like megalomaniac who can just like completely take full advantage of anybody around him. Full stop.
Yeah.
So like
I will
there's something happening there, but it's not fully satisfying at the end of the movie. Still,
I feel like yes, but there is also a weird undercut that happens because of the male gaze nature of this movie.
That's
Elizabeth
fair,
Shue's
yeah.
character, every woman in this movie walks around in like the skimpiest outfit despite being fucking accomplished Pentagon scientists.
and they
Like-
don't close the shutters ever. The blinds are
No.
wide open. Like
They do
Constantly.
whatever the fuck they're gonna do. And it's just like, I don't like Elizabeth Shue is like, yeah, she's capable and in the clutch she comes through, but she's running around like pretty much like tits a wagon through half this movie.
Damn.
And it's like that would be fine. Like if that's like that's a
Whoa,
perfectly
Randy
acceptable
trying
character.
to regulate women's clothes.
No, that's the thing. That would be fine if the rest of the movie wasn't filled with us skeeving on women alongside the Invisible Man. Like the whole rest of the movie is us
Well, yeah.
leering at women, and so now we have
Yeah.
our lead character who's
That's-
also leerable.
Well, that's why it takes out of the horror, because we've said this, again and again, is when you're sneaking into somebody's apartment, you're not seeing it from the point of view of the person who's tense and scared. You're with the person who's doing the crime. There's no
They
tension.
kind of turn it, but only for like a second.
No,
it's
yeah,
so
you're-
quick.
you're
and it's only
following
because you can't
him.
follow Kevin Bacon physically with the camera.
Well, you can, because you look at her pictures on her dresser and all those things. Like you go around like
Do
her
you?
house.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, you do. And so there's no.
from literally from inside his head. Okay.
So we talked about this we were talking about a movie like this recently where it was Saw. It was fucking Saw X, where the
Oh,
whole
boy.
point is like you're following. So it becomes more just from a natural state in which it's created. I'm not saying this is how I feel. I'm just saying just from the natural state, it becomes more titillating of you're sneaking around. You have this ability. Don't get caught or whatever. When you're trying to put yourself into the position of where the camera is positioning you, you're not with the person who's like, is there somebody out here? Or, what's going on? You're not questioning yourself. Is there somebody here? Is there not somebody here? You're with the person trying not to get caught. So the feelings that
Yeah.
the film invokes in you is sneak around, don't get caught. Ooh, take a look or whatever. It's so fucked up. It's so
It's fucked up. I will
Yeah.
say, like, in a slight defense, like, point of view shots can and are used for villain characters all the time. Like, just because they're your point of view doesn't necessarily mean you identify with what they're doing or
I
what.
know, but
what
in
their thing is.
horror too,
But
this like
it's the
tense
package
situation.
deal.
Yeah.
It's
I
not-
think
well, I mean,
to some
Evil
degree
Dead
they
does
work
that,
in this
Halloween does
movie.
that. Like,
To some degree they work in this movie too, because there's a lot of like kind of back and forth like dodgy point of view sequences in this movie where he's not just like looking at naked women that are effective, like way more effective than the scenes where he is looking at naked women. But that is like the primary difference between this movie and like the 2020 Invisible Man is the point of view. Like we got the point of view from Kevin Bacon, like the creeper monster in this movie. It's not very effective. It's not very interesting. It's very one note. It's fucked up. But in the 2020 version, like you've got the point of view from the female character that like just feels that something is wrong, something is amiss around her, and she's trying to figure it out, but she can't
trying to
fucking
convince
see
people.
what the danger is. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is way more interesting, like substantially more interesting than this.
Well, and
I
to
agree.
give this movie a little credit, it does do some, so even just outside the rate, it does do some shocking things. And then toward the end, I would say it kind of hits its stride a little bit in infusing the action. But another scene in particular that should have more weight than it actually does, and actually I think it's interesting the way they pull it off, is when he kills the dog. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is like a big thing that we mention a lot of times in films. People care about animals. They don't want to see animals get tortured. And they kind of remove you a little bit because they're both invisible and you can only see it through this thermal lens. So it's not the regular details you would get. So that's pretty interesting from a execution standpoint. But the problem is the movie's so static, you already fucking hate Kevin Bacon. He's already a piece of shit. And so him doing that doesn't really ramp up the stakes or anything. It's just
I
like, yep,
agree.
he just keeps being a piece of shit.
I mean,
Just-
that is the thing. Like, it's so interesting because there are components in this movie, like that could work, and they just aren't executed well. I think that that dog scene or whatever is like a great like kick the dog scene where you
Yeah.
get to the idea is that you're supposed to extra hate this guy because something that is in most people's minds a pure innocent, even beyond a human being, is being brutally murdered through like not even necessarily on camera. I thought that was kind of great, but you're right. Like there's nothing like the only thing about that I will say that is positive other than that is that they do show him like have affection for the dog earlier. So that's the closest we get to him having an arc and going like mad or whatever. I don't feel like it's like pushed home otherwise. It just seems like there's no reason for him. It's just like if he's all id, have a conversation with our other scientists talking about that. Like this is creating him like all of his inhibition, all the inhibition centers of his brain are shutting down. Like anything like
Yeah.
that, anything.
Mhm.
It's all it would take. It would self-justify so easily with just a few different component swaps, and then just like ditching this innate need to see every breast in the fucking city. Like
Yeah,
don't know.
I honestly, I think it would be a lot more interesting. Honestly, I was just saying about this. It would be a lot more interesting if it started off and he hides behind this mask of sincerity where people kind of worship him and he is very brilliant and smart. And maybe you get a little bit of moment where he's by himself, like he's creeping on his neighbor. Maybe we
Yeah.
do see the scene where he's creeping on his neighbor and we as viewers are like, what the fuck? But then we go with him where he meets his coworkers at the Pentagon and he's all psycho fake smiles, Patrick Bateman style or something like that, because
yeah,
you
yeah.
follow Patrick Bateman's point of view. And then then he has some decline once he goes invisible. Like he feels like he doesn't have to hide behind a mask anymore, or you get some sleep deprivation or it's something, and there's a decline. They just starting it off so strong with him schmoozing on his girlfriend and being a cocky ass piece of shit and putting down all the people around
Mhm.
him. It just doesn't work.
I agree with that. That's a really
The-
smart way of handling it. And in fact, like there's a like not just that movie, but like there's a lot of shows and movies that do that. I immediately thought of that Black Mirror episode with Jesse Plemons and the Star Trek pastiche that they were doing. That's a perfect one. He's like a respected, beloved. He's a Weinstein-esque figure who like they just had the other foot hasn't dropped yet, and nobody really knows just how evil he is because he's able to conceal it. So yeah, that would be fucking great. I wish they had done anything like that. Bob, I think I cut you off maybe.
What I kind of wish this movie had done is like it's set in Washington D.C., so it's sort of ripe for this kind of like espionage kind of story where like this guy all of a sudden can turn invisible, and that would then give him reason to like lie to his superiors so that he can creep on him and like steal information and sell it to whomever, and like
Yeah.
it just that makes like so much sense. And then instead he's just like looking at some titties, like I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a good point too, Bob. If you had one,
Mm-hmm.
because you have these elements, so you could have one scene where he molests his coworker, and then I do like the idea. I mean, from a narrative standpoint of her questioning it and not saying anything to anybody because she's like, well, I actually don't know if it happened. I feel like there's some commentary there to support that. So if you had that scene. And then, yeah, instead of the rape scene, if that was him creeping on his boss and like stealing
Totally, yeah.
files or,
Mhm.
getting into the computer or something like that, that would be great. And then the dog scene. So you have these like elements of like getting more and more extreme, and each one is detestable in its own way. Yeah, I think we got a
power
better
mad,
movie
and
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like it is so, like the fact that we are so easily fixated by what this movie could have done with all the components that are on the table
Yeah.
is the problem. It's a mess, and
Yeah.
it seems like I don't know. It just seems like through either studio interference or through just like not enough attention paid or whatever. This is not to the level of a Verhoeven classic by any standards. This is not like politically, aesthetically, none of that stuff. Like aesthetically is closest, but like everything else about this movie is just like, why aren't these pieces performing the function they're there to perform? Instead, they're just prioritizing like these absolute like cheap titillations that mean nothing, that fucking the movie RoboCop by Paul Verhoeven mocks ruthlessly. Like this is the kind of movie that I think that Paul Verhoeven the younger would criticize as being very shallow.
And I think he does. I've got a little bit of trivia on this too. I think he does openly criticize this movie.
Oh, okay.
And this was so he made 6 movies in Hollywood, and then went back to Europe. So he made a lot of movies in Europe, came to Hollywood, then went back to Europe. So this was his last movie he made in Hollywood. He didn't like feel super proud of it. I've not seen anything he's made since this. But he did. He's like still making movies though. He just had a movie come out last year, I think, called like Benedicta or something like that. It seems like a really corny nun kind of movie or something. So he's still making movies, but I haven't seen them. But this is not his crown jewel, and he'll admit that for sure.
No, I think it's for completists only. And the thing is, like, I guess that's why, like, I'm so frustrated by this movie because there's so much that could be salvaged so easily. And I think that's what, like, the key part, aside from the rapiness, that's the key aspect that bums me out about this movie. And again, like I said earlier, like the rape thing is like all I thought about this movie beforehand. I like when I saw this last, I was young teens at latest.
Yeah.
So like I had no awareness of a lot of what, sort of themes might be at play or whatever. I was just not on that level. So looking at it now and knowing Paul Verhoeven's work, it's like extra frustrating on that level. But at the same time, like looking at the effects and things like that, it is like, it's as repugnant as I remember, which makes the fun parts seem more fun and the effective parts seem more effective. And I think that's the reason that I feel like I kind of liked it a little bit better now, despite it like confirming my worst suspicions about itself.
So I've not seen Showgirls, but like he also directed Showgirls, and from what I understand, it is not great.
I've never
So,
seen
like,
Showgirls.
It seems just like a lot of naked women running around, which
I gotcha.
Well,
it
it's
is what
about
it is, and
it's about a porn star, or not porn star, excuse me, about a dancer who's trying to make it in the showgirl scene in
Cabaret or
Las
something.
Vegas, and they take full advantage of all the the
Gotcha.
female form and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And from what I'm given to believe, again, I have not seen it either, but like from what I'm given to believe, it's just like completely scattered, tone deaf, and it's again this thing where there's things in place that could be taken advantage of, but it just doesn't. So like I don't know what's going on with all this stuff.
It's unfortunate. After like seeing RoboCop, we've reviewed Starship Troopers on our show before, and like those are layered and interesting and deep and like really thought provoking,
while also being like huge in every like bombastic and every other
like
metric.
Truly Hollywood movies.
Yeah,
they are, and this kind of has that feel. and it has that budget, and like the special effects in this movie are like still, I think they hold up for the most part today. Because when I put this on, I was like thinking all the special effects are going to look like dog shit. Is really what I expected from the year 2000. But they held up, I thought, pretty damn well. The way like Kevin Bacon and this gorilla like go invisible and then come back again, like one layer at a time, like their skin, their veins, their musculature, their skeleton. Like I thought all that like looked really interesting and like held up pretty well. So like it's got that sort of shock value that you might get from Starship Troopers or RoboCop, but it just doesn't have like the layered like meanings happening.
Yeah, it is, and I've been trying to avoid this word the whole review, but it is a hollow version of those movies. Like,
Whoa, Spider-Man
it's
swinging
brand
in the
new.
theater.
Yeah, I know. Hollow Man raping into theaters.
Oh my god!
God damn.
Yeah,
No,
it's
yeah.
it just feels like it's all surface level with just like the slight tendrils that could get down to the core of something real that goes beyond what's bombastic into something like honest, and it just
Yeah.
doesn't. It just stops digging after a few minutes. Like,
Yeah.
I guess that's where I'm different. I was thinking the whole time that the effects didn't look good. Now, what I will say is conceptually they are interesting. I do like the idea that you pump this serum into an invisible thing, you see it go through its veins, and then each layer there's a skeleton and stuff. Now, how it actually looked though, especially when he gets electrocuted and just throughout the skeletons of it all and the muscles, it didn't look impressive to me. It didn't look good to me. It looked like that era CGI, but conceptually, I thought it was cool. I would say the best positives for me was, I guess, once it finally did get into the actions and you're trying to come up with different ways to catch him and he's foiling you, like, you know, you putting on the thermals and then he opens or he turns on the heat and he's standing around the vents and around the pipes and he's using his brain to, you know, thwart you. And everybody knows that he's smarter than them, but they're still think, oh, we got the numbers on our side. We're going to like, that's the best part. And it's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I agree with all that. I think I'm somewhere in between the two of you as far as like the effects go. Like, I don't think that they're like, they're not convincing, but in a better movie, they would be absolutely acceptable and effective enough for me. Like, that's
They're
the thing, is like, it's the scaffolding that's weak, not more so than the effects themselves. So like, I could watch this movie. Like, if the Invisible Man movie from 2020 had effects on this level and it was released back in this time, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
like,
that's fine.
It would not bother me very much.
That's fair.
So that's where I'm at with it. But like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just, I did like the action scenes, the like, just like the man hunting man stuff. That stuff, like, it can get really lame and boring really quickly. But this movie doesn't allow it to do that. I have to give credit for that. Like the trackers and the justifications they have for everything is like pretty meticulously thought out when it comes to like the escape the lab scenes. But yeah, I don't know. It's, you know, makeup on a pig at that point.
It's not boring. You can't say this movie's boring at all. Even at 2 hours, I don't think I was ever bored with it.
It was too long.
Did you think it was a little longer?
It's too long
than I would have liked.
Especially that kind of false endings. When it kept going, I was just like, Jesus Christ, it's still going.
There's like 3 or 4 endings.
Yeah.
It does keep ending. Yeah. I thought like the mask was really kind of cool. Did that hit for you?
The art direction is pretty great in this movie.
It did.
I think.
That was one of the most interesting aspects of it, of putting on the face, the sunglasses. Yeah, I did.
And it's tighter than dick skin.
And I think you could have even played that up more, because he's like a handsome, confident guy. And that's why if you had scenes earlier, instead of skeeving on his girlfriend, if he was like getting hit on by a hot sophisticated waitresses, this like high-end scale. I'm thinking like Mad Men style here, you know, Don Draper getting hit on by these high-class kinds of women, this guy who knows he's good looking, and then all of a sudden he has to also deal with that because the mask aspect kind of makes him look like a burn victim. So he can't go out into the world anymore and seduce women with his good looks or anything. And
Yeah.
so that's
trapped
part of
in.
his breakdown, of his frustrations and everything. So much
You
better.
could do that too.
He just
There's
like shotguns 8 Twinkies after that awkward conversation.
I wouldn't prioritize that as a particular avenue necessarily, but like anything is better than what we got in terms of giving him pathos
Yeah.
beyond smug prick, wants power, now can rape people. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this movie being set in Washington D.C. is just such a waste to me. Like
Yeah.
it could be set
Yeah.
anywhere. Like
And that,
have
like-
him spy on the president or
Oh.
anybody. Like anybody. I don't know.
It's a good point too that that's all that he does. Like you're gonna be invisible and you could do anything. You know, even the guys asking him like, "What'd you do?
Does
Did you
that and scare
scare
some kids."
somebody?" Yeah, it's like you're invisible and you're just gonna rape everyone. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
you're
Gonna
gonna
rape
do.
and
That's
scare
it.
people. This is
That's
like
it.
this is like the YouTube prank channel id in
It's a prank,
in
bro.
film form. It's just a prank, bro.
I'm God and I just want to see some tits. Like that's
Yeah.
not interesting, really. It's
Boys,
It's-
I got a
it's-
joke
yeah.
for you guys. So Superman, he's flying around.
Oh my god, that joke! Holy shit! Is that just to like give? I don't know
Oh,
what that was
fuck.
for. I really don't.
it just show you he's a piece of shit, and then he
Yeah,
confirms
but we
that
already
he is a
know.
piece.
We-
Yeah, were you ever in doubt that this guy was
Right.
a piece of shit?
The only thing they didn't do is like have him be a piece of shit to the security guard. That's the only one level that they didn't do to
Yeah.
make him
Yeah.
even more repugnant. And like
Yeah.
we didn't need that either. I'm glad they chose to not deal with that shit.
I liked how they showed him invisible in like multiple different ways. Like so, like they showed him invisible, like getting hit with like smoke and like a fire extinguisher and like with
Water.
blood and in water and like the different ways that they like kind of found him out. I thought
Mhm.
that was explored really well, and most of
I
that held
agree.
up pretty well too.
I especially liked the general smoking his pipe and
Yeah,
him bursting out
yeah.
of the the pipe smoke. I
Mhm.
thought that was pretty fucking great. It didn't look as great once they got in the pool, but you know, if they had cut that scene just a few seconds shorter and just showed his wife screaming from the doorway, it would have probably
Yeah.
done a little better for me. But all that said, like I don't know, man. That was also his mentor. Like there was so much to mine out of that character that
Yeah.
they fucking don't. They just don't do it.
Yeah.
Instead, they give extra like leeway to Josh Brolin, which is interesting, but they don't do a lot with that either. He's just kind of constantly like Mr. Second Best all the way through the entire fucking movie.
Yeah. Well, like, even though we talked about before, if we had a scene where instead of raping people, he was spying again on his mentor, and he either found out some dark secret about him or he overhears a conversation about him talking down about Kevin Bacon, or he like really loses his faith in this man, or, you know,
Like they're
something.
already planning to strip him of his titles. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, and he actually
Mhm.
doesn't respect Kevin Bacon or something like that. And then, that gives him some justification. All of this is so much better than just raping people.
The only thing
like
that they
Yes.
used the only thing that they used properly in that regard in terms of spying on people to me was spying on Elizabeth Shue and Josh Brolin in bed and discovering
Yeah, that's fine.
that,
yeah.
which like that's a fine thing, but it's like it just doesn't live up to the amount. Like I don't feel bad for him one bit.
well,
I
that's
don't feel really like
I feel bad
don't
for their
know.
relationship because even all of the stressful things going on, like our friend is invisible and might be going insane and stuff like that. And just every single time, the first thing they do is just like, we got to plow this out. We got to plow. it
dude,
away."
yeah, it's like
there's,
that
there's
is
no development to that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that would be fine if they did develop it more. And she was like, if she had a conversation with Josh Brolin, like more conversation with Josh Brolin, where it's like like, well, why would you choose me over this guy? He's so much smarter. And she's like, have you met him? Like, he's not a good guy. This is how he treated me. I was second best to him. Have her handedly speak to him about it for our benefit.
There actually is a brief moment where that happens, where she's like,
I know, but it's very slow.
The idea of Kevin Bacon is so much better than the reality, or however she phrases it.
And if the rest of the movie propped that up a little more, that would have been sufficient. But it didn't. And I'm trying, like, I don't know. We're sitting here workshopping this movie that's fucking 25 years old.
Trying to rewrite it. Yeah.
We're bringing it back, boys. It's going to be the first Straight Hollow Man remake.
The ending, though, like, to I don't know, give some more positives here, like, is action packed. There's a ton of action in the end of this movie, and I think the stuff with, like, the invisible gorilla and, like, the dog and the explosion in the elevator, like, there's a lot of, like, really interesting, like, action set pieces that happen. The sort of, like, time bomb that he sets with the chemicals in the lab or whatever, like, there's a lot of, like, really interesting things that they do play with here. The goggles, the like trank guns, they get some interesting action working, but it's just it's fluff at the end.
I want to say something about those goggles real quick.
Okay.
Those goggles are like the most ridiculous prop or setting item in the movie to me. It looks like 13 Ghosts. It does not look like this movie. And also, every scene where people are hunting this man, they're never wearing them. They're always like, oh, let me put them on. And then
they take them off.
The next
and
scene
on
hits and they're already off. And he's like, oh,
leave them on.
Like,
leave them on.
It's got a flip. It's got a little
exactly.
flip on it, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. But leave them on. When you're hunting a man who's going to murder you, leave them on.
Hunting a genius trying to murder you who can't be seen, you wear the thermal glasses the whole time.
Now, one more like missed opportunity. I think I didn't think this going into it because I saw it when I was younger, but when I thought about it this time, so we get this initial thing, which is a little ridiculous, by the way, where the guy goes in to deal with the gorilla and the gorilla bites him and be like, your hand would be gone, by the way. There's no like, oh shit, he bit me a little bit. It's like, no, it's a motherfucking gorilla. But so Kevin Bacon can't see the dog. The gorillas wouldn't be able to see Kevin Bacon. He should have, at least for one good kill, he should have released the gorilla and antagonized it. Yeah. And then, like, somebody's got the goggles, they turn around, the gorilla's coming and like beats the shit out of him, because the gorilla wouldn't be able to find Kevin Bacon. So Kevin Bacon's fine. So that's a missed opportunity for some kills, I think.
That's totally a missed opportunity. That'd be great if he was like, I don't know, like, you get this incredible scene where people are getting like their ass beat, and then finally they subdue him, and you think that they get Kevin Bacon, but it turns out to be the gorilla. That's fucking great. Like, that's a good.
Somebody pay us $100,000 to write the Invisible Mang screenplay.
You're doing this for free.
Yeah. In 2 years, we're gonna see a Hollow Man remake. It's gonna be all of our fucking.
They're gonna add the G. You know they are. If they steal the G from the name Hollow Man,
we're suing.
We will know.
It's copywritten, motherfuckers. Make a Hollow Man movie.
I know Hollywood's just combing through this podcast.
Oh my god, we're a gold mine.
Tarantino listens every week. I know he does,
and he's the one his last film is going to be a Hollow Man remake.
The Hollow Man by Quentin
Finally,
Tarantino.
This is the movie I've been waiting my whole life to make, and it's just going to be. This is going to be fucking Kevin Bacon sucking on women's toes and while invisible.
It's genius. It's genius. Yeah.
Not a nipple in sight, just baby toes. Just
God damn.
Toe Jam, the movie.
Woo.
I've always been a creeper.
We know, Quentin. We know.
Anyways. Yeah.
Any other points?
We've shat down this movie's throat for long enough, maybe.
Yeah. It's okay. It's all right. Let's go ahead and rate this thing out of 5. If you guys have anything else you want to say, of course, do so. Juice, how do you feel?
Yeah, just as a laundry list, just to kind of summarize again, I think that this movie is frustrating and in no way lives up to the potential that it could have been. I think even, it could have been a top quality movie. It could have played with some of these ideas that we mentioned, but the problems are starting the character off as a piece of shit, and yeah, he has no arc. There's no decline. There's really no change in his personality. He's a piece of shit at the beginning. He gets a little power, so of course he abuses it for his own benefit in the ways that you would suspect. There's nothing that kind of is like particularly surprising about what this man does. I think that's a huge missed opportunity. And then, yeah, just obviously the rapes are huge problems. And even like it's like you've already done a scene where he molests somebody and then he also just straight up rapes somebody. We don't need a dream sequence rape. It's just so much rape. It's so unnecessary. So yeah, that's a huge problem. I personally don't think the effects held up. Like Randy said, to be fair, if this were a better movie, then they're good enough to kind of accept and be like, yeah, it doesn't hurt the movie. But since it's a bad movie, I don't think they're good. Conceptually, though, there is some fun things here. Once it finally gets to the action scenes, I like that. I like how he is outsmarting them using like his environment and stuff, and even him looping the camera, which is a pretty ridiculous, but just the idea of him using his smarts to kind of get away with these things, it should have been more of a focus, I think. And where the positives, I like the concept of seeing the layers coming back in the Invisible People. And yeah, it had too many endings. It just went on and on, and none of the characters I really care about, honestly. I mean, everybody's kind of doing some shady shit, or it's just the most neutral or nagging person. I don't know. There's just not a lot of endearingness going on in any of these characters. They just kind of are kind of fluff people. So yeah, I was going to give this a 1.5. It is obviously not going to get a half star for the Yabos because of what's going on. And actually, I'm going to deduct a little bit because we do get some fleshy dong as he's going
PG
invisible.
dong?
Yeah, it flops. Yeah, he's flopping around. So actually, this movie's going to hurt itself a little bit, and it's going to get a 1 star. Going to end up at a 1 star.
But take a good look, because it's the last time.
Damn. Solid 1 star.
Yeah, Bob, out of 5, where are you gonna put Hollow Man?
Brutal. Well, I think the digital effects hold up better than you do. I think that's pretty clear. I think most of them look pretty interesting. Some of them actually I think look quite good. I do think it's a total like blown opportunity to set this movie in Washington, D.C. and have an invisible man that doesn't spy on anybody, that has anything to do with politics in any way really whatsoever. He just wants to see like naked ladies. It's just like so uninteresting. It's just like what a waste of a movie it feels like to me. Like why I just don't I can't like wrap my head around why the fuck anybody wrote this screenplay. Like
Bob, it was before the big porn boom,
Like,
the internet really opened a lot of doors.
like, you just needed to see a couple.
I'm sorry, did you say
nipples.
before the big porn boom? Are you familiar
in
with
the year
term, the oldest profession?
2000? And
I wasn't
it's
born then, so
also-
I don't know how you guys watch porn
Oh.
before the internet.
Oh yeah.
we watched
Or the
it
internet.
in a
we had to
magazine.
drive 30 miles in the snow
42nd Street.
just to see some ankle.
It's also like extra unfortunate that like Paul Verhoeven directed this movie, and like he has a bit of a history of like taking on the establishment, like government, war, anti-war movies and shit like that. So like there's just like so much to be plumbed here. I like the cast. I like the cast quite a bit. There's some strong performances, I think, including Kevin Bacon here. There's some interesting like action sequences in the movie that even if they do like go on too long, I think they do deliver on some like interesting action towards the end of the movie. Um, it's just it does feel hollow, and I hate to say that. It just does.
Right? There's really no better word for it, which is unfortunate.
It does feel kind of hollow. I do want to give a shout out to Kim Dickens, who plays Sarah in the movie. This is definitely the first thing I ever saw her in, but she plays a prominent character in the HBO show Treme that I am a big fan of. So I got a big kick out of seeing her in this. So shouts out to her. Bonus points for her being in this. And Juice, I got to give a half star for the dong in this. Half star for the hog.
Yeah.
I got to do it. So there's a very brief moment where you see Kevin Bacon's actual bacon. It is not digitized, but you see that dick tip, son. I clocked it. Did you clock it?
I
We're
don't
hunting
think
for
I did.
dick.
No.
Oh, I clocked it, bro. Oh,
I know,
clocked
and this
it.
guy's really looking, you know.
I saw that dick tip. But they did like take apparently like a pretty legit body cast of him. So like even the CG cock is
That's it,
apparently-
baby.
That's
That's
bacon.
what
apparently
he's
the real
working
deal.
with.
That's a
So-
thick strip of bacon.
I was feeling like a 2.5 plus a half star for Kevin Bacon's bacon. 3 even for me. That's where I'm landing.
Wow.
Randy,
Little fatty for me.
well, sorry, bro.
I'm not going to explore that any further. Interesting that you brought up Kim Dickens because I see her in a lot of things, and she's in she's in Gone Girl and a bunch of other things. I haven't seen much of Treme past the first season. Is she in that season?
Yeah, she's in all of them.
Oh, I can't remember. It's been long enough. I don't recall. But I always think of her.
Desatel is her character.
I always remember her and the guy who plays Carter, the porn guy, like the medical guy who likes porn. Those two people are both like semi-prominent, or at least like they have somewhat important roles in Lost at one point or another. Kim more than what's his name? Greg Grunberg. Every time I see them, that's just the thing I think of them in. Lost really kicked off some shit for people, or at least pushed them along. Anyway, yeah, I feel pretty similar to you guys. I don't think that I think I've kind of said most of my piece already. Like, I think that the conceptual, like the art concepts of this movie, the visuals are mostly really great, like, or at least like great for their time, and would be wonderful if they supported a movie that deserved them. But I just don't think it really does. I don't need it to hold up perfectly with realism. I just need it to be compelling, and they're just not compelling enough to be noteworthy on their own. They need that push from a good story, which kind of goes without saying. So, like, my biggest frustration with this movie is, like I said, just having so many wonderful little avenues of thought that could be explored by a capable, politically minded director like Paul Verhoeven. And instead they waste time making everybody feel like shit by watching this guy molest people and do all this stuff. Like, and basically just that. It's just a waste of a good concept and a good action climax for the most part. I love Elizabeth Shue. I love Josh Brolin. I like these character actors. They're all people that I have affection towards before the movie starts. I think it's a great cast, but they just aren't given anything to do except like dick around and get the wool pulled over their eyes constantly. Like, Elizabeth Shue is the only one who ends up being able to get one over on this guy, and that makes sense narratively because she is like supposed to be equal enough to him to where he respects her and wants a relationship with her and isn't just like somebody for him to ogle. That is another area that is underbaked, and so we don't get the benefit of feeling that way unless we headcanon it into existence. So all this shit, like, I am meeting this movie more than halfway, I think, by giving it a 2. I think that I really wish that they had done like 2 or 3 more passes on this script and just honed in on something substantial besides just following around a creep being a worse and worse creep with time. Like, it doesn't say anything, and with somebody like Paul Verhoeven at the helm, it's just extra disappointing. Like, I expect a little better, to be honest. So That's where I'm at. 2 for me.
That's
A
easy
2.
math, Bob. I can
Yeah,
do it
that's
for
a-
you if you need me
That's a
to.
please. What is it? What's the aggregate there?
That's gonna put us at a 2 stars even, Bob.
Oh, hallelujah. 2 even from the Straight Chilling crew. As per usual, whenever you guys choose a movie for us to review, we ask that you send in a email or a voicemail. And I believe we got an email from Gabriel Juice. Do you have that pulled up?
We do. Here we go. Halloween 2000. Probably the main reason as to why I picked this is to find out if this flick is a good movie or a bad movie. And what better way to have it answered by the horror crew of Straight Chillin'. I do love the cast, which has stars of movies from the 80s such as Footloose, The Karate Kid, Goonies, and most recent Kim Dickens star of Fear the Walking Dead. Haven't seen it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And Gremlins and The Burbs score legend Jerry Goldsmith. Okay, dude, The Burbs. Caitlin was talking about The Burbs recently. I gotta watch that show. That's 2 Burbs references in my week.
So good.
So good. Obviously not the top best film or even the middle of the best films ever, but an underrated film nonetheless. I this week re-listened to your Invisible Mang 2020 episode to get a sense of what was really liked in that version compared to what could be appreciated in this version 20 years earlier. I really like how they show Kevin Bacon before he turns killer. I always find it interesting in movies to see how a character goes from good to bad, kind of like the transformation of Anakin to Darth Vader. Spoilers. Whoa. The sci-fi and CGI still holds up, I think, to this day. And the telling of how painful it actually would be to become invisible makes a lot of sense. The slasher scenes toward the end are really good, but the invisibility of Sebastian during the final scenes is a bit silly. But all of the ways they do show how he could reappear as his normal form is really good. One of my favorite scenes is when Sarah asks Sebastian, while invisible, if he is staring at her, and he says no, and then very quietly, deviously laughs. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Then the rape scene. Pause for dramatic effect. I'll just say I know we are all on the same page with that one. Other things I really like are the gorilla scenes, munching on Twinkies, the pool murder scene, the Hollow Mang mask scaring the kids in the car, cheesy rock music, and the teardrop turned ice. A whole amount of movie genres in this film to talk about, good or bad. 3 stars from Gabe. All right. Thanks, Gabe. Well, thanks for the
Solid.
pick anyways. You know what? To
Yeah.
be fair, though, since it's a movie I watched when I was a lot younger, it's always, interesting to revisit them. So I appreciate you picking this one, even though I was the most sour on it. But it's still, I'm glad I got to watch it again.
Well, I'll echo that because for me, it was like, okay, there is some redeeming stuff in this movie. I just
Yeah.
hadn't
It's interesting
remembered
to
or thought
consider
about
it. Yeah.
10 years, 20 years. So yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate it, Gabe. Thanks for giving us something to chew on here. I think that man, it's crazy how scattered our reviews, not like our numerical reviews are, considering how on the same page we all seem about so much of it. It's just kind of nuts. It's an
It
interesting
does-
movie for that respect, but I'm not going to watch this one again.
It feels kind of like the perfect iteration of the Invisible Man for the year 2000 in a way. It has this sort of like,
I wouldn't say that.
it feels like that to
The
me.
year 2000 deserves better.
Because it just has
The
this
Matrix
sort of like,
came out 1 year before this.
I don't know, but in that time it has this sort of like, I don't know, like blind, unfiltered, unfocused, like white man rage kind of thing going for it. It just feels of the time to me. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
It does feel of the time. No,
Sure,
I will
it's
say it
definitely of
feels
the time. Yeah.
So it kind of like, I'm not saying it's a great movie, but it just feels.
I mean, there were
other
time
times-
appropriate, I guess.
I mean, I get, but there are other things that are like cheesier or like kind of do similar things that are like much better than this. I know we haven't discussed it, but around the same time, Underworld came out, which deals with some, talking about an old school universal kind of monster, but you have, werewolves and vampires and stuff. It's just
the movie is flawed in a similar way that like just the time period feels flawed is what I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but
yeah,
I think there are pieces there where
It's
they
a
easily
reflection
could have
of its
improved it.
times.
Yeah.
I think we all agree on that.
There were good movies
time is
around
a
this
flat
time, though.
circle.
Yeah, it's not a perfect
Yeah,
movie
of
for anything,
course.
but it is a reflection of the time it
Ginger
came out.
snaps.
I would say.
Like,
Yeah.
come on.
True.
Come on. Anyway, yeah. Thanks, Gabriel, for picking this flick. Definitely an interesting conversation. Let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment, see what the critics and users have to say about Hollow Man.
All right, Hollow Mangs. This is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to have these two gentlemen guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score for Hollow Man is on RottenTomatoes.com for both critics and users. And we're going to start with our critics as we always do. When we start with Juice today, Justin, what do you think the aggregate positive score is for Hollow Man, knowing, of course, that there are 119 reviews counted?
This cannot be high. Just can't. Just don't see how it would be. So I'm gonna give it a 40.
40. All right.
That was our average. Yeah, 20.
Yeah.
40 it is. Bob, are you going to come in over? Are you going to come in under? What are you feeling?
I feel like it's gonna be low, but I just have to decide how low. I'll take for the critics 40. I'll take a slightly higher with a 45. I think
45. All right. Well, let me do a little quick math here. I believe it's the correct answer is 14 points removed from the winner, and that correct response would have been 26%. Making
There
Justin
it is.
the winner of this particular round. There you go.
Yeah.
26%.
All right.
Positive.
Damn,
That feels right. That's right. Where
Yeah.
Soju's sitting, man of the critics this week, boys.
Man of the critics. Boy, what an enviable position. Somebody's
I am
really
critical, man.
someone's trying to climb the ladder. All right. All right. We're going to move over to our audience score now, and we're going to go in reverse order. There are 250,000 ratings here to account for, 250K. So, Bob, why don't you tell me what percentage of those you believe to be positive reviews?
200 higher than the critics, I think. Just unsure numbers here, but low still. So I'll take a 38.
Dead air.
38%.
Bob, I couldn't hear you. Did you say hell yeah?
Hell see.
Oh,
Yeah, there it is.
I did. I said that. You're welcome.
All right, 38%. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Juice, where are you coming in at? Over, under, sideways? What are we thinking?
38. The people might be more forgiving on this. Even Gabe gave it a 3. Rob gave it a 3.
For
I
the
think-
dick.
Oh yeah. Well, just so we're clear.
A lot of people
To
out
be
there who love
very
dick.
clear.
Want to make sure that's why. I'll say 55.
You want to see my ding dong?
Bob
Says-
does.
55.
Says
All right.
Maya Hawk's dad.
So the correct answer for this film, for this audience score, 250,000 ratings, is only 10 percentage points off from one of you. The correct answer was 28%, meaning Justin's going to take this one again. Congratulations to him, and I'm looking forward to What?
No. Bob takes that one,
under
right?
on that.
Yeah, Bob
I'm
was
so
the
sorry.
under.
I wrote him in reverse order. I apologize.
Okay.
Rob's going to take that one.
Yay!
Hey. It's tough. It's tough listening to people.
Cool.
So congratulations
So,
to
okay,
Bob.
so
and
both
Hell
low.
hell
Hey.
neat. Hell
Yeah.
neat to you.
Hell neat.
Hell neat. That's Randy's. Hell neat.
It's very neat. It's a very neat tidy hell.
Can I get my hell
Okay.
neat, please? So yeah, both low. Well, okay, that makes me feel a little better because I was pretty harsh on this.
It's not a great movie. So,
It's not. It's not.
It's not a great review for not a great movie. Here we go.
There
This is
we
a
go.
critic's consensus. It reads as follows. Despite awesome special effects, Hollow Man falls short of other films directed by Paul Verhoeven. This flick over time degenerates into a typical horror film. Now, hold on a second.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
That's some bullshit.
Don't
I
don't
refuse the
undercut-
premise that a typical horror film is inherently worthy of our scorn.
No,
But it does
no.
become very apparent that there's not a whole lot under the hood later on.
Yes.
That I'll say is true. Yeah. So there you go. There, I'm going to read just a couple of negative reviews in case they are hilarious. We'll never know until we read them. So here we go. The real Invisible Man here is Verhoeven, whose talent can barely be seen in Hollow Man.
The fuck out of here with that bullshit. That's fucking ridiculous.
Spider-Man is Hollow Manning into theaters. Let's see here. One more. His habit of sneaking up and molesting women is disturbing, but other than that, there's nothing frightening about an invisible man.
The murder? The incessant murder?
Well, he's saying, like, it sounds like he's saying, bar none, that invisible men just aren't scary. Not going to agree with that premise either, my guy. That's what the fuck. This is a slam dunk for negative reviews, and this is what you guys are bringing to the table?
No, dude, to be fair, Kevin Bacon apparently has the upper body strength of a gorilla. He picks up
Dude.
Carter by the neck.
He's a
and,
big
like,
guy
throws
too.
That's
him.
true.
Carter's not a small man. That's at least 250 just and
Holds
throws him
him,
into the
and
fucking
Oh.
wall
Well,
to death.
As he's fighting him, trying to get away.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
you know,
That's a good point. I didn't even really think about that.
Kevin Bacon, not a big guy. I don't really think that's possible. Just saying.
He looks strong, but not that fucking strong. Jesus
Not that
Christ.
fucking
If
strong.
they,
It's
now,
fucking
all
Michael
of that is-
Myers and
Yeah.
he's doing the Donkey Kong one arm.
Yeah.
Just hell
Can we do
yeah,
a Ted-
motherfuckers.
we- If he had been visible, we would have seen his little head tilt as well. I don't know, man. Like if that all again could have been solved with one dumb throwaway piece of line, where it's like, oh, it seems like his testosterone levels are through the roof. He's been
I'm
working out
juicing,
nonstop for 2
dog.
days. Like,
These Twinkies are loaded with juice, HGH or whatever.
these Twinkies are loaded with juice. Oh boy.
There you go.
Bob knows
All right,
the
that's it.
steroid link.
It writes itself.
Juice me, daddy. All right. Let's move on. Bob, what's coming up next? You got any trivia for us other than what we already talked about?
I do. Let's get into it.
It's totally time for trivia.
Right. Yeah, I got a little bit of trivia here. Paul Verhoeven, he's a wild motherfucker, man. So to get the reaction from the cast he wanted, he put speakers in different places on set, and he had Kevin Bacon's voice come from those speakers so the cast would genuinely react to this invisible character that they couldn't
That's
see
so
moving
smart.
around. It is.
Very smart.
It really is. Good for him. Good for him.
And then
Yeah,
he
I don't
waited until they went to sleep
Yeah.
and
And
then
then
did all the
screamed.
It's
emotional
all research.
I'm an
Screamed
executive
into
by
their
day and a
blouses.
wild man by night.
just trying to get a reaction out of you. What? I mean, it's just good filmmaking.
It's all part of the process, people.
That's so fucked up. That's
Very
that
funny.
did, to our knowledge, that didn't happen. That's very fucked up. So,
Yeah.
in order to use the title Hollow Man, producers bought the rights to Dan Simmons' Hollow title, Hollow Man, but apparently it doesn't actually have anything to do with an invisible man. So,
No, yeah.
I think
Isn't
it's
it
just
like
locking down titles or something.
Yeah. don't
Okay.
read that book.
I think it's like
Because
a social commentary or something. Like I don't think it has anything to do with.
Ooh.
Like, I don't
I
think
mean,
it's.
it's like a-
lame.
I don't think it's sci-fi in any way.
Oh, you mean it's like a story?
Yeah,
Oh.
like a real.
has a point.
story.
What a
Oh.
waste
It's
of
not
time here.
horror. It's elevated story.
Yeah, but how much tweaking is going on?
Tweak me.
God damn. You got a tweak me bump. Verhoeven apparently was dissatisfied with this movie. In 2013, he remarked to the Hollywood Reporter, I decided after Hollow Man, this is the first movie I made, that I thought shouldn't have been made. Apparently, it made money, and it really isn't for me or anyone. I think many other people could have done it. I don't think many people could have made RoboCop the way I did, or even Starship Troopers. But Hollow Man, I thought there might have been 20 directors or so in Hollywood that could have done that. I felt depressed with myself after 2002. And then in earlier interviews, Verhoeven explained that the job was offered in a period where many of his proposed movies had fallen through. So he just kind of accepted it to stay in business.
Keep working.
Wild,
Yeah.
interesting. Huh? That's good
very
for him for
honest of
being
him.
straightforward and honest
Yeah,
about
man.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a level head about this shit. I got to give it to him.
Yeah. Damn, respectable.
So for scenes where Sebastian was outlined in smoke, water, and blood, Kevin Bacon wore a latex bodysuit, face mask, contact lenses, and dental plate. All of them were
It's tighter
one.
than dick skin.
All of them are one single color. He wore green for blood. He wore blue for smoke and black for water. Visual effects supervisor Craig Haig replaced Bacon with a digital clone to form an outline of his performance to make him appear more like Bacon. Yada 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 yada.
Okay.
He was nominated for best special effects for this movie, but it lost to
By the MTV
Gladiator.
Movie Awards?
No, for an Academy Award, but it lost to Gladiator. So
That's insane to me that this was nominated.
I think like there's some like
it's not to
I
me.
don't
It
know.
makes
I'm
sense,
not
honestly.
I agree.
Really?
Like I think you can look at a lot of 2000s CG and see a lot fucking worse than this stuff.
I agree.
I don't know that you like.
Really
I think it
agree,
belongs in
yeah.
the top tier.
Yeah.
For its
Yeah.
era. I think there's only I don't know. I feel weird being critical about technology that was just not there yet.
Yeah.
But I also feel like with this movie, it was good enough, like I said earlier, that if it were supported by a better movie, I wouldn't give it a second thought, really.
Sure. Well, that's fine.
So like that's where I'm at with it.
I guess
so.
just to hear Oscar nominated or whatever.
that is hard. That is weird to hear.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Well, I don't know. Well,
It makes sense
so-
for that category to me. But like,
yeah, I
just
guess
heard
for that
Oscar and I was like,
category,
what?
it's not as surprising. Yeah. All right.
I think
Well,
fucking Norbit was nominated for a an Academy Award. So
Best picture.
you
It's
know.
not best picture. It's not.
It's
Best
been a
Picture
while since I've
Norbit.
seen Gladiator, but like, is Gladiator better?
I think it's a
Like-
better movie.
No, I mean like digitally. Like, of course, it's a
Oh,
better movie.
I
but
don't remember. I think what they did there was probably like some tigers. That
I think it
were
was
maybe
Tigers was the
digitals,
big one.
But
For the most
Fucking
part, I think that movie
tigers.
was like mostly like
Practical
smoothing things
effects.
over and hiding like
Oh.
hiding shit in the background that's not supposed to be there. that
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
thing.
And building maybe like building
And
some
probably-
art architecture like the Colosseum and shit.
Matte
Yeah.
paintings and shit.
So then
yeah,
yes, it is. It's better.
I
Maybe.
assume
I
I'd have to
can't
rewatch
wait.
it to really apples to
I
apples.
can't
with
wait for
it.
the sequel that they're making for some fucking reason.
Jesus
sorry, what?
Christ. Yeah, they are.
Of Gladiator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it going to be called Gladiators?
Maybe.
probably. I don't.
It's gonna have
It
a
doesn't matter.
slow pop song remake
Oh
as
my
the
god!
I'm a
I
gladiator.
come from a land down under.
I said, do you speak my language? And
A
she
Vegemite
just smiled and
sandwich.
gave me a Vegemite sandwich.
Fuck
Jesus,
yeah!
man.
I can't wait to watch even more Gladiators, the movie. Jennifer Lopez was offered the role of Linda McCabe in Hollow Man, by the way.
She was too busy making The Cell, another confusing movie.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. Sells better than
50
this, though.
I don't know. I'm not so sure.
Maybe. Anyway,
Uh,
$50 million of the $95 million budget was spent on VFX for this.
How much? Like,
50 million.
of the $95 million.
of
Seems a
95
lot
million.
for 2000 too.
Yeah,
I think yeah.
it is.
Like this is pretty fucking intricate for that time. Like 2000 is 5 years removed from fucking Toy Story. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. An early draft of the screenplay was called The Incredible Dr. Nobody. In this version of the screenplay, Kevin Bacon's character bore the corny name Dr. Noah Body.
shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. That is the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Noah.
It's like they rewrote the Asylum Pictures version.
They and had to walk it back a little bit, just a little
Oh
bit.
my
like-
God.
Noah Body. Jesus Christ. That's such a stretch, too.
That seriously
Noah
sounds like an
Body,
Arrested
like who-
Development faux movie.
That's it.
Sounds like a movie maybe Funke greenlit.
Noah Body. Elizabeth Shue plays Marty's girlfriend in Back to the Future Parts 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And there's like a weird scene in this movie where she's talking about, oh, we can't admit time travel or whatever.
Yep.
I guess a slight
Yeah.
nod to that.
Wah,
I
wah.
guess she's in a lot of. She's great, by the way.
She is.
Fucking-
Yeah.
She like I can't really say that because it's a spoiler for a show called The Boys that she features prominently in, but she's great in that. Let's just say that.
Deal. Last bit of trivia I have here is this movie grossed $73 million domestic and total grossed $190 million worldwide.
Okay.
So it was
Successful.
a success. They
Yeah,
did
it
make
was.
a sequel that I have not seen, but apparently is complete horseshit.
I
hope-
read somewhere.
Oh,
Sorry,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was hoping it didn't have to do with the rape situation.
I don't
I
know
don't know.
about that, but from what I understood in like a brief read through I did of some article, like that one it's not the same characters. It's a whole different
Okay.
like batch of characters. So that it's not like a direct continuation of like the Kevin Bacon story here. It's in fact like more based on the original script. So
Huh.
I don't think they called him Dr. Noah Body, but I
Dude.
can't say they didn't.
Noah Body.
I'm gonna look that shit up right now, actually.
Mm.
Okay. That's all the trivia I got. Let's go ahead and jump into our Cooter of the Week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Shortest segment of the day.
What? Yeah, no shit. What's a Cooter? Why do we hunt them?
Oh, Cooter's a character type and a straight chilling exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a Cooter, but we want the Cooter with the most points. The 5 points of Cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall looking attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, there is no Noah Body in Hollow Mang Deuce, so
I guess
Good
we'll have
call
to
there.
make do with old Kevin then.
yep. So let's break it down this week, boys. There's no overthinking this one.
It's just
think
Kevin
so.
Bacon.
It's the
It's
Hollow
Sexual
Man
deviancy.
himself.
Covered.
Sexual deviancy,
Check.
check.
Smug arrogance.
Check.
Hyper check. On both.
Manipulation. Check.
Check. Look and
Damn.
attire.
Check.
Check.
He's
He's got a dick mask.
You can see through it.
He's not. He's got.
He's
like,
got a dick
oh,
skin
man.
mask.
It's a cool looking like horror figure mask, but you
It
look
is,
fucked
yeah.
up, my guy.
He does.
And then
Patheticness.
patheticness. Yeah. God damn.
He only
do we
eats
even
Twinkies. That's pathetic.
I don't think that's the
Check.
point. I think that we could circle back to the rapes, maybe. But
No, just the Twinkie consumption.
that's. I can excuse rape, but not Twinkie usage.
Also, he kills a dog. That's got to fit in there
That's
somewhere.
fucked up.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
pathetic as
Fuck this guy.
Yeah,
man.
Fuck
pathetic,
it.
yeah.
Fuck it. I
Yeah.
don't think we
God.
need to waste any more time looking.
Off the charts.
Yeah, to the
Cooter, I
roof,
think.
yeah.
I think.
I'm gonna put him in a roommate situation with Jeremiah Sand and myself.
Dude, yeah.
They gotta
Yeah.
share a
See.
cell.
Top tier Cooter this week. Woo.
Sebastian Kane. You heard it here, folks. Top tier.
He's
Cooter.
got a 100 on the sand scale.
like almost off the charts. Like,
Almost.
He's got 100 sands.
it's like goddamn. You know, it was an easy week for the Cooter segment.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
don't
nobody
think-
even. Yeah,
Even
that's-
close.
This is a real Nuff said situation for me. I think we
Yeah.
yeah. right on.
yeah.
We got him. Out of control Cooter, Sebastian Kane. Got him.
All right.
All right, let's talk about what we've been watching this week, folks.
Hey, gang, what you been watching?
When do I call you folks? Like, what is? Hey, folks, let's talk about what we've been watching. Randy,
You're
what
drunk,
you been?
Bob. It's okay.
I am shit hammered. Randy,
The
what
word
you-
folks is really twisting me up today, I see.
it is.
Yeah, so I was extraordinarily busy the last couple of weeks. I have not had a lot of time to watch stuff. I also had my in-laws were in town. We had a good time with them when we could, but there wasn't a lot of viewing time in that. So here's what I watched, some of which with them. I think, yeah, 2 of these 3 things with them. Watched a movie that I bought on Criterion Collection like a year ago that I bought blindly, just knowing that I like Albert Brooks. I purchased Lost in America. I finally watched that. That is a good movie, but like it's an enjoyable, like kind of like semi-comedy. It's very much in the Albert Brooks
It's
tradition. I don't know
dated.
how to describe it. It's dated, and yeah, it's definitely dated, and it's not as like the way that the box described it was like critical of Reagan era politics and blah, blah, blah. And it's like there's almost no political discussion in that
Yeah.
fucking movie.
Ah.
It's very much like just from that perspective, like it feels like. So you've seen this, Justin?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I didn't know that. So yeah, I liked it fine though. Albert Brooks is just fun to watch. The whole movie's like fun enough to watch. I probably won't watch it too much again, but there you go. Also watched the Larry Sanders Show. I kicked that back on a little bit more. So that's for those who, I'm sure I brought this up a billion times at this point. It's an HBO show featuring Gary Shandling as a fictionalized talk show host who we get behind the scenes footage. It's kind of like a proto Curb Your Enthusiasm behind the scenes, but it also has footage from the show, the late night show that he hosts as well, diegetically. I love this show. It's one of my favorite sitcoms at this point. Between Gary Shandling, Jeffrey Tambor, and Rip Torn, 3 of the best comedic performances in a sitcom of the 90s by far, and just fucking killer on all fronts for my money. And the reason that I was watching this was in preparation for this my last piece, which was Late Night with the Devil. Got to rewatch that in theaters. Alamo was putting on a special screening with a Q&A with David Desmalchin, which I did not really get to see because the sound was cutting out very badly. And so it was very unfortunate. I just kind of ended up having to leave. I got comped a little bit, but like it just didn't work out. It was very much a bummer. So didn't get that benefit, but that's a very, very, very interesting film that I have also written an article about when I originally watched it last year during festival season and released today. Finally got that shit off my chest. So
we forgot to talk about that in housekeeping.
Yeah, I did. I forgot. I should have brought that up. But Late Night with the Devil is coming out. So like Larry Sanders Show is one of the things I talk about in the article, is very much like they have a lot in common. They share a lot of DNA. So that's why I picked it back up. And also because I thought it would be acceptable to my in-laws. And it was. So there you go.
There you go.
That's it for my What You Been Watching this week.
Nice. Juice, what you been watching?
Oh, I have been busy as well, so not as much as the past, several months, but I watched Spring for the first time, and you may be hearing our thoughts about that pretty soon. But it's but it's appropriate because like this past week, maybe week and a half, the spring season really hit. I've really been feeling the jonesing to watch some more warmer feeling kind of movies. So yeah, it was perfect timing. And it was just Bob's talked this one up a lot. It's been on a couple of our polls. It was first time watch for me, and it was good. I liked it.
I was gonna second pretty much everything you just said because I also watched that. I just wasn't sure whether to tease it or not.
Oh no, yeah, might as well tease a scotch.
Tease it.
Yeah, going through my MCU still, the latest one I watched was Age of Ultron. Ooh, that one was a lot worse than I remember.
I remember not
I had
liking that very much.
I remember it being lower
A
on the scale
downgrade.
too, but it still was surprising to me. I didn't even like have it high in my mind, and it still was low. I was like, whoa.
Ooh.
Yeah, man.
But yeah,
bad.
that oh yeah, oh my boy Josh, he he didn't.
What?
Yeah, Joss Whedon, he didn't
Oh, okay.
nail that.
It's like, is Hartnett in that movie?
No.
Did he comb his hair? Did his mother comb his hair?
So yeah, I watched that one. I switched out, so I've been keeping up with the Ghibli's, but I switched it out this week since I had limited time and watched something a little more Irish, but still in the same vein, and watched Secret of Kells for the first time.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So it was beautiful, very beautiful. And the music was just on point, perfect for, watching around for St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, and it was a first time watch for me, so I'd never seen that one before. It was good.
God, I
And
love the
then
look of that movie.
and finally too, for spring season, watch OG Wickerman, which we covered a couple years ago, and that was the first time watch for me back in the day. And it's great. It's good for spring. Like I said, just like kind of getting into these kind of like spring, warmer feeling kind of movies. And that's a good one. That's a good one. So yeah, some good watches for me. Well, actually, minus Age of Ultron, good watch.
Mostly good.
Yeah, minus the MCU. Bob, what you been watching this week?
We've got a voicemail coming up that directly has to do with spring related horror movies. But what I've been watching, so I watched a couple like classic comedies. Dumb and Dumber, I revisited that. I know, Randy, you mentioned that last week, and it's on Netflix, and I was just cruising there. I was like, fuck it. Like, I haven't seen this movie in years. It's great. It's so fucking dumb and dumber, and it's great. It's so much fun.
Let me ask you, because I mentioned this when I brought it up last week.
Mhm.
Do you feel like watching it now, if it came out today, would you feel similarly about it, or would you like? I know that there's a lot of affection built in, but if you try and strip that out, do you think that you would feel the same way about it or similarly?
No.
Okay. I'm kind of in that zone too. Yeah.
I don't think I'd care at all. If it
There's
came out
something very
today.
specific about that movie, and
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know what percentage of it to chalk up to just strict nostalgia, because like some of those gags, like they're so stupid, but they really work for me.
You do have to give mad credit to the players. Like Jim Carrey is, like nobody can like be Jim Carrey.
It's
He's
top of his
very-
game, Jim Carrey.
Yeah, he is who he is, and nobody can do that but him. So like you got to give him credit for that. But outside of that, like right place, right time kind of thing. Like if Jim Carrey like tried to break through today, he wouldn't hit. I don't think he would.
I don't know. Yeah, probably not. Not the same way.
Gotta get him on
Yeah.
TikTok.
Oh God. I don't
Can't
think he
anymore.
would.
Anyway.
And even if he did though, like being in your like mid-30s, like I don't really think we would care too much.
Yeah.
Well, Dumb and Dumber 2 came out, so we know how
never
that would
saw
go.
When we didn't care that
Yeah,
much.
I watched
It's-
some of that.
Ugh.
I have
Does
seen
not.
it. You
hit the
know,
same.
I remember literally nothing about it, but I have seen it. Anyway, I watched that. I rewatched Superbad.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
How does
It's
that
great.
hold up? I haven't
It's-
watched that one in a while, honestly.
It's fucking hilarious.
I feel like
It's-
that's
a great
like one
movie,
of the
man.
last big kind of comedies, especially for an era. I feel
Yeah.
like
I think
kinda
that was like
wrapped
just
up.
the peak of it, because there was a lot
Really?
of like Apatow to follow, like a lot of that
There was.
gross
Yeah,
out
there
humor
was.
stuff. Like
Yeah.
Hot Tub Time Machine, I think came out like 5 years after
That's
that.
fair, yeah.
Like,
No, I think I can't remember the exact year that came out, but I think it
I was
clo-
guessing, but
closer to the same year, because I think Superbad was like 06?
07.
07?
Hot
Tub
Tub's
Time Machine.
2010.
Okay, so later than I thought. Still, I don't know. It does hold up well, but how much of that is nostalgia? Probably a decent bit still.
Yeah.
Not as much as Dumb and Dumber, I don't think.
I think
but
you're
still,
right.
But still a decent amount.
Because that's
I
got
would
like
say.
timeless themes in it. I'm not going to
Yeah.
go looking for themes in Dumb and Dumber. So
They don't exist. They're not there. Both super fun though, for whatever.
Yeah.
that means. I like him. Joe Bob this past Friday did a Roger Corman double feature. I only watched the first movie before I passed out. He showed A Bucket of Blood, which was a black and white movie from the 60s. It very much had a kind of House of Wax vibe to it. It is about this like coffee house full of beat poets, and one of the characters was trying to be a sculptor, and he would kill folks and like put he would like basically make sculptures out of their corpses, similar to House of Wax,
Sure.
And that's basically what the movie was about. It was okay. It was fine. I will say the interview and like the interstitial stuff that Joe Bob did were super interesting. His interview with Roger Corman and Roger Corman's wife were great. Really, really interesting. So watch it for that, if not for the movie. The movie's okay. Not terrible. It's fine. Deathstalker was the second movie. I still haven't watched it.
What?
Maybe I'll get around to it. It looked. It's not a horror movie at all. It seems like a sword and sandal movie.
You're not getting any younger, Bob. It's not going to get any easier to stay awake.
True. Which, Joe Bob's going to the one movie every other Friday format. So
okay.
So
it'll
easier for me. Personally.
That's easier for us, but scary for the future of drive-in show.
Yeah, I guess they're doing it to prolong the season, so it's not just like 10 weeks or whatever. It's going to be like 20 weeks. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that it falls under it's under the AMC umbrella.
AMC,
which
yeah.
is now under the Warner umbrella. Maybe.
We're all fucked. We're so fucked.
Which means that it's only a matter of time before the worst decision makers of all time lay their waste on the fucking Shudder app in general.
God damn it. You know what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to just buy Joe Bob's name and The Last Drive-In's name and
sign up.
Might be kind of attached to that. I don't know.
For Patreon. There you go.
We're gonna buy you, Joe Bob. We're coming for you.
We own your name.
Sounds like a good investment. I'm sure he'll be around for a long time to come.
Yeah.
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth.
Sounds like a good 20, 30-year investment to me.
You shut the fuck up. Bucket of Blood, it's okay. Also, I rewatched Spring this week because we're all going to be talking about that movie with Caitlin on Plug It Up very soon. So
spoilers, Bob.
The mystique is gone.
It's a little tease, just teasing it. Also, if you haven't seen
an announcement.
That's an announcement.
It is. You're right. If you haven't seen Spring, check it out. Watch that movie. It's a good movie. Also, it has to do with the spring, so it's the spring.
Yes.
So watch.
She was gorgeous.
There you go. That's what I've been watching. That's it.
Nice.
All right.
The end.
What else do we do on the show? What else are we doing? What time is it? Where am I?
The time is. We're talking Hotline Scream.
All right. Let's get some Hotline Screams.
Hotline Scream.
If you are listening and would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We do have one voicemail this week. We're going to hear from our friend Matt. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hey, Straight Chilling crew. It's Bridge Troll Matt. I was calling in because I got a question for you. We did a Halloween. We had our traditional scary movie season, and then we went into winter, and we had all the cool Christmas horror and winter horror. And then we have summer horror coming up with, Friday the 13th and all the camp horror and horror in the woods and shit. But what spring horror do you recommend? Is spring just the time we go to the sci-fi and worry about aliens and shit, or is there some spring type supernatural horror that y'all like to go to and watch this time of year? Can't wait to hear what you say. Bye.
Prescient indeed.
It's a good question. It is.
Yeah.
It's a better question than we usually pose to the audience to answer. So thank you, Matt, for being better at this than we are.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple.
Well, yeah, we already brought a
as-
few up.
Yeah, as the calendar mang, I would say.
The floor is yours.
Well, I would say there's a couple that I kind of lean towards. There are some good now, warm kind of feeling and brighter horror films. So Midsummer is one. It's got a lot of flowers. It's bright. Wicker Man, OG is definitely one that I like to go to. But then also too, like we mentioned before, there's Easter's coming up, so it is a good time to revisit some religious horror film. So I would say even something like Saint Maud, which has like some beach scenes, but also feels like kind of on the cooler side, like a transition period. I think that's probably a good one for this period as well. I've been jonesing to watch The Burbs, which is definitely has, I don't know, he's got like he's got like a week-long break, so it doesn't, I don't know if it's summer break. It kind of feels like a spring break type of situation. I don't know, but it's warmer.
I think it's a summer break, but I can't remember for sure.
Is it? Okay, because I
I'm
feel
not
like it was
100%.
limited to like 1 week or something, but maybe it's just a summer vacation or something. So and then also too, some high school ones kind of pop up, especially if it's centered around there's like some prom or like I Know What You Did Last Summer. I know that that's more like summer theme, but I don't know, like some end of year like school horrors. Yeah, Carrie. Yeah. So anything like that is kind of what I go towards. Of course, sci-fi as well. How about you boys?
This is the first year that I've really been considering it and for the same reasons that Matt brought up, because like we have all these other things for other seasons. What movies are my go-to for this? And I think that like my number one go-to is not a movie, but it is Midnight Mass. That's what I like to watch around Easter time for
Yeah,
sure.
hell yeah.
That's an easy slam dunk for me. We're going to talk a little more about spring soon. There's a tease. What else? You mentioned Wicker Man Juice. That's of course good. I agree with Midsummer. I know that it has summer in the title, but the floral nature of it and the brightness makes it work for spring for me. I don't know. There's probably a few others. There's one called April Fool's Day that I haven't seen, but maybe that one's good. I don't know. Maybe that works.
Watch April Fool's Day. It is
Okay.
a good slasher movie that is
Really?
weird. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little bit different. I don't know that it's really going to give you like spring vibes necessarily, but it obviously takes place on April Fool's Day. It is a good slasher movie. Definitely
Cool.
watch that. I recommend that. Yeah. I also would throw in to the ring Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
I was
just
going to say that's
because
one I was thinking of too. Yeah.
the
70s?
the flowers kind of vibe. Like
Mhm.
I don't know what time of year it actually takes place, but the whole like idea of the movie has that sort of spring flowery kind of vibe. The movie Spring, obviously. I would also say The Fog is a spring movie. It takes place, I forget, there's a very specific day the movie opens up. It says like April, whatever. So it takes place like mid-April. So like The Fog is very like clearly set in springtime. And I fucking love that movie so much. So The Fog for sure is solidified.
I feel like any like movies that have like a psychosexual sort of thing, like Honeymoon or something, could work.
Yeah.
Could, yeah.
Like
The Loved
you know,
Ones is another prom kind of based
Yeah, that's a good one,
movie.
yeah.
That's
I'm digging around the web trying to find anything else I'm forgetting, and I might rewatch Club Dread. This might be a good time of year for that for
Dude,
me.
that movie sucks.
Damn.
I've seen it more than once, and I liked it a little better the second time. The first time I was not into it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of the like Jimmy Buffett jokes, they land for me.
I want it to be good so badly, but it's no.
I don't know. It also like even having seen it more than once, it's been many years since I've seen it, which is why I said I need to rewatch it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Reserving judgment, but I think this is the time to do it for me as like before summer. I think that works for me.
So
there are some options.
Some options, yeah. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, where Jack Black plays a Rastafarian.
And believe me, it is all good.
It's clearly a 5-star movie. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question there, Matt.
And of course, any St. Patrick's theme, you know, you got to throw on Leprechaun. Of course,
All the
too.
leprechauns.
Oh, yeah,
in
I didn't even think about
space, in the hood,
Oh
anywhere.
yeah.
When's that Labor Day horror film coming out?
I'm actually intrigued about this April Fool's. So that's interesting.
Check
Yeah,
it
I didn't
out,
know
man.
you were gonna recommend it that much.
Yeah.
It's different. It's pretty cool. I recommend. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like I kind of just want to put that same question out there
Sure.
for next week.
Yeah.
It's like a pretty solid question.
Tis the season, honestly. I'm feeling it. I'm really
Now or
feeling
never.
it.
Let's go. What movies for spring? What horror
Yeah.
movies for spring or shows have we forgotten to include in our list?
What are
Call in
some
and let us know.
Bright,
Let us know,
warm
man.
horror films.
Mhm.
Yeah, 904-638-3231. Let us know. Springtime horror movies or shows. Call in. That's going to do it for us this week at Straight Chilling. We'll be back next week with a brand new show. As always, we're finally talking about Late Night with the Devil.
Finally.
We've been sitting on this
Halloween
shit.
movie in spring.
In spring, yeah. We've been
It's a
wanting
weird
to
time
talk
for that.
about this at length for literally a full year.
Yes.
A year.
Dying for it.
So check it out. It's going to be in theaters. Go watch it. Even though it's like it's a full-on Halloween movie. It should be coming out in October. It's kind of a bummer that it's not, but still, it's worth watching. Go check it out. You won't regret it. So, Late Night with the Devil next week. Until then, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
But take a good look, because it's the last time.